BJJ has a high injury rate, and the data supports this fact. 68.8% of grapplers would take at least 1 2-week absence from training due to injury over 3 years of grappling. Want to hear something crazy? The higher belt rank you are, the more likely you are to be injured. This problem is amplified even further by gender and by age. A study published in 2021 titled Injury Patterns, Risk Factors, and Return to Sport in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu surveyed 1,140 grapplers to gain insight into patterns of BJJ injuries. Here's a summary of the most interesting findings. The most commonly injured sites were the lower and upper extremities at 45.7% and 30.2% respectively. Specifically, the knee and the shoulder had an injury rate of 27.1% and 14.6%. 77.6% of injuries occurred during sparring. Older age was determined to be a significant risk factor. Most injuries occurred during submissions at 29.7%, takedowns at 26.4%, and guard passes at 24%. Submission techniques that caused the most injuries were the armbar, kimura, and heel hook at 22.4%, 12.6%, and 11%. Is this data useful or relevant? This study has a bit of a selection bias problem because it was titled Injuries in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, meaning that people with injuries from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu are more likely to fill out the survey, therefore skewing the data, artificially inflating the amount of injuries reported in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. What is the inflation consequence of this selection bias? Well, we have no idea, but it's still very useful insight into some of the injury statistics among grapplers. The findings in this particular survey study are complementary to those found in other studies published in the same area. Specifically, we're looking at these 4 studies here. Another interesting note to point out is if we compare the submission techniques with the highest likelihood of injury with ADCC 2017, 19, and 22 submission data, we see that the top 3 submissions are the rear naked choke, which is not a joint submission, the armbar, and the heel hook. Source for this was BJJ Heroes. The link that we can draw from this is perhaps the kimura, heel hook, and armbar are not the most dangerous submissions or the submissions with the highest likelihood of injury. Perhaps they are just the most common submissions in Jiu-Jitsu and have the highest percentage. Therefore, there are higher reported cases of injury in those submissions because there's more of them. It would be very interesting if we had the data to compare the injury rate of the submissions per 1,000 attempts of the submissions. This is just my theory though. I am by no means a data scientist and I don't have any substantial evidence apart from what I presented to you to back this up. One conclusion that we can draw from this study and the others that I mentioned is that injury risk in Jiu-Jitsu is real. What to do about it? The magic pill. What if there was a magic pill that you could take that would reduce your risk of injury in Jiu-Jitsu by 40%? Would you take it? Such a pill does exist and it's called sport-specific strength and conditioning. Allow me to introduce you to a study published in 2021 titled A Comprehensive Summary of Systematic Reviews on Sports Injury Prevention Strategies. This study addressed many systematic reviews and meta-analysis on sports injury prevention programs. Here are some key findings that are relevant to our Jiu-Jitsu context. Injury prevention programs are effective and can reduce injuries by at least 40% in youth and adults. Strength training, proprioception, balance, and psychological programs have all been shown to be beneficial, while static stretching has not. Substantial evidence supports FIFA 11 Plus program, which is a dynamic warm-up for prevention of sport-related injuries. In contact sports, exercise-based programs are successful in reducing injuries. From these findings, we can confidently state that a strength and conditioning program specifically designed for your sport will reduce your risk of injury. The practical takeaways. The best strategy to reduce your risk of injury is to implement a strength and conditioning program specifically designed for grappling 2 to 3 times per week, and to do a dynamic warm-up before you train Jiu-Jitsu. I've got you covered in both areas. I have a free 2-day per week full body strength program specifically designed for Jiu-Jitsu, as well as a free BJJ specific dynamic warm-up and cool-down program. There are links to both of those free resources in the description. Or if you want to take your performance, your grappling, and your risk reduction to the next level, I recommend BJJ Strong Online. BJJ Strong Online is the ultimate jiu-jitsu performance platform. It has helped hundreds of grapplers get strong and mobile and reduce their risk of injury on the mats. It has over 10 full-length training programs, a video movement library with over 360 mobility guides, lifting tutorials, and mobility follow-alongs. There are 5 separate full-length instructionals with downloadable resources, quizzes, and everything that you need to achieve your performance goals. Whether your goal is to smash your next competition, reduce your risk of injury, or to get strong and jacked for BJJ, we've got you covered. You can join now at bjjstrongonline.com or click the link in the description. The risk of injury in Jiu-Jitsu is real, but it's not inevitable. There are things that you can do to proactively reduce your risk of injury. If this was a magic pill, you would absolutely take it. The pill does exist, and it requires a bit of work. It is 2 sessions per week. That is it. By implementing these strategies outlined in this video, by taking advantage of the free resources, or if you want to take things to the next level, take advantage of BJJ Strong Online, the choice is yours.